No, we're not going to talk about glucosamine, but what we are going to talk about is the fact that narcissists like to pick us apart. They like to put pressure on us so they can control us. All right, how do they do that? I got 15 things to talk about. So we're going to have to go through these very, very quickly, so pay close attention. Number one is the pressure to justify every personal choice. That can be exhausting. So I've actually done this before. You know, you go to a restaurant, got some friends, family, whatever, and there's a narcissist in the bunch, and you're sitting there ready to enjoy your meal, and the narcissist wants to know, where are you eating bread? Don't you know that has glucosamine in it? That's going to make you fat. That's not good. You know, what they're doing is they want you to justify every personal choice. Like, why did you choose to eat that? Why are you drinking Diet Pop? Why are you drinking this, eating this? Why do you wear your hair that way? Don't you know it doesn't look good when you wear that shirt? They just don't stop. The pressure to justify every personal choice. Why did you go there? Why didn't you go there? Why did you say it that way? Why didn't you say it that way? That can be exhausting, and beware. When somebody is constantly trying to get you to justify every personal choice, that person is trying rather to control you, and who loves to control you more than narcissist number two? The pressure to brush off minor annoyances. So we're talking about annoyances, and the narcissist wants you to be dismissive. They want you to brush these things off, because if you don't, well, you're going to be on to the narcissist. It's going to be obvious that the narcissist is loading these things on you. Just one straw on the camel's back. No problem, the camel can handle that. Okay, just keep loading straws on the camel's back. Eventually it's going to break. The narcissist sees you as a camel, and they want to see, okay, what's it going to take to break this camel's back? And they're just going to load these annoyances on you. And they want to tell you, look, it's just a piece of straw. You know, it's no big deal. Yeah, but you already got a ton of straw on your back. And this one may be the one that breaks your back. You know, it's death by, what do they call that? Death by 1,000 cuts or whatever. The narcissist wants you to ignore that, pretend it's not there. Number three is the pressure to cling to outdated personal narratives, the way things used to be, the way we used to do them. They want you to cling to those outdated and old personal narratives because, well, you know, that's back when they were love bombing you. That's when they were love bonding you. They want you to go back and cling to those days. Remember when things were good and they're not now? Well, you know, it's your fault, obviously, right? Number four, the pressure to always say yes. That can result in burnout. It can result in resentment. But the narcissist wants you always to agree with them. I'm just trying to think of an exception. Well, I'm guessing that probably if I think about it long enough, as I could think of some point in time when a narcissist doesn't want us to agree with them. No, I'm sorry, I can't think of any. So maybe there's one out there you can think of, but I can't. Number five, the pressure to seek quick fixes that can lead to impulsive decision making. Why is it that a narcissist would want us to make quick fixes? Because if it's broke, and we try to fix it, and we're not thoughtful about the way we fix it, and some things do have quick fixes, well, then who's to blame? Well, it turns out that we are. So they want us to quickly fix something because they want to blame us for it. That's my opinion. You can disagree if you want. Number six, the pressure to maintain a flawless appearance. Yeah, you said it the wrong way. That's an appearance, you know, the way we say things. You part your hair on the wrong side. You didn't come across well when you talk to that person. Or, you know, why do they do this? It's because they want to pressure you to maintain a flawless appearance as a means of exaggerating their opinion that you have a flawed appearance. You know, they say you need to be more flawless. They're not going to say it in those terms, obviously. But by trying to get you to maintain a flawless appearance, they are overemphasizing your flaws. A lot of them are real, but more of them are exaggerated. So be careful when somebody constantly wants you to be that flawless, perfect person that never says the wrong thing. Everyone does. Never looks the wrong way. Everyone does. And when somebody is piling on you because you have these flaws, that person is probably projecting his or her flaws on you. Number 7 is the pressure to engage in rumors and gossip. That can harm reputations, that can harm relationships, and everyone knows this. If there's one thing that a narcissist is known for, is rumors and gossip, otherwise known as the smear campaign, and they want you to participate as a flying monkey so that you can join them when they are trash talking somebody else. I don't want to be the narcissist proxy. I have been in the past unwittingly, and I'm sorry I did it. I was naive, I was gullible, and no thanks. I'm not going to participate in your rumors and gossip. Now, just for the fun of it, when you're around a narcissist, start some gossip, only do it positively. Instead of tearing somebody down, build somebody up. Instead of taking them down a peg or two, lift them up a peg or two. Explain to the narcissist what you like about this other person. Particularly if the narcissist begins a smear campaign about somebody you know, contradict them. Point out the positive points, the good points of that person. Because the fact of the matter is, he or she probably lying or exaggerating anyhow. And call them out on it. Say, no, sorry, I just don't see that in that person. That, by the way, is a good way to get rid of a narcissist. They want you to agree with them. As we said earlier, they want you to say yes to everything. Number 8, the pressure to constantly stay busy. The narcissist wants you to stay busy in his little sphere, his little circle of influence, his little kingdom. He likes busy serfs. Why? Because that means you're under control. Now, just for the fun of it, we're having a lot of fun tonight, right? So just for the fun of it, go out and join a cult. No, I'm not serious. I'm just using this for an example. Don't join a cult. But if you do join a cult, what you're going to find out, several things. Number 1, they're going to keep you busy. Because the busier you are, the less you think. They don't want you to think for yourself. They want to think for you. A narcissist will want to keep you constantly busy doing his bidding or her bidding, so you don't have time to stop and think about it. So would you get this for me or do that for me or give me a ride here or give me a ride there? Asking favors of people is perfectly okay. I do it. I'm assuming you do it. People ask favors of me. I'm happy to oblige, and narcissists take note. And they say this is a person who can be controlled because they do people favors every time they ask. Overdone, I've got to say. Number 9 is the pressure to accept unsolicited advice. Have you ever known a narcissist who does not love to give advice? Almost always unsolicited. Now, yeah, maybe the advice is good. Usually the advice is either worthless or something you already knew, or it's actually damaging. The narcissist will give you advice based upon my experience. I'm in my 70s. I've learned a thing or two sharing with you. Some of those things I've experienced with narcissists is they want to give me advice, so I will take it, not just so they can control me, so that I'll do something stupid and they can use that against me later. Gaslighting is what you call that. Number 10, the pressure to respond immediately to conflicts. Okay, so you go to one of these sales meetings or having a scam. Inevitably, what the guy will say who's leading the little meeting, you got 2-3 dozen people in there and they're trying to sell you some network marketing thing. One thing I've noticed every time I've attended one of those meetings, the facilitator who's giving this little speech, one thing they almost always say is, the hallmark of a leader, a hallmark of success, is snap decisions. They make a decision on spur of the moment. They don't wait. They know a good deal when they see it. You know what that guy is doing? He's flat out lying to me because he wants me to make a snap decision. He wants me to feel like a businessman. I got to tell you, I was in business for a long time. We did fairly well, weren't phenomenally successful, but I made a living at it. And one thing I've learned is you don't make snap decisions. You think things through. You do things called A/B test. You try it this way and compare it to that way, and then if this is better than that, you go with this, and if that is better than this, you go with that. It takes time. So one thing a narcissist will do is he will or she will want you to make immediate decisions. They want you to immediately respond to conflicts. So you won't think it through. And you wind up just making a big mess. Now, sometimes when it comes to a conflict, you need to step in and put a stop to it so somebody doesn't get hurt. But usually what happens is you just escalate tensions unnecessarily. Number 11, the pressure to be universally liked. Why would the narcissist want you to be universally liked? Well, he or she doesn't. They're just saying that. It's kind of like being flawless. They're saying, people don't like you. You really need to work on that. By the way, I'll help you work on it if you don't mind, or if you do mind, I'm going to help you. So when the narcissist is impressing upon you the fact that you need to be universally liked and you're not, what they're doing is they are implying not only that you're not liked, but they want you to have the self-doubt and insecurity. People do this all the time. Narcissists do this all the time. So when somebody is trying to impress upon you that you're not the most likable person, and I really want to help you be more likable, what they want to do is control you. No thanks. I don't need the narcissist's help, and I certainly don't want him to like me, come to think of it. Number 12 is the pressure to keep up with other people's timelines. Who has a timeline that I need to keep up with? Oh yeah, the narcissist. So their pressure is there to cause stress and anxiety because I'm not keeping up. The thing I've noticed again about, during my 70-some years of dealing with narcissists is they always see their timeline as preferred. Their agendas are better than everyone else's. The way they do things are better than everyone else's, and everyone should keep up with them because everyone is lagging behind them in their mind, or at least that's the way they see it. I think deep down inside, or maybe not so deep down inside, they know that they are the ones who are tagging behind. And the way they compensate for that is through projection by accusing others of not keeping up with them. You need to keep up with my timeline. That's the way of the narcissist lying, saying that his timeline is advanced to yours, when he knows good and well your timeline is much better than his or hers. Number 13, the pressure to keep up with endless news cycles that can be draining. I don't know that narcissists do this a lot, but again, drawing on my experiences, I've worked with narcissists who are obsessed with world affairs, particularly these end time things, and they want you to see what they see, that the world is coming to an end, so you need to join my agenda. It's almost like a cult. Got to keep up with the news because you know what the news is saying. Yeah, I know exactly what the news is saying. In fact, I'm so good at it over my 70-some years, I can actually predict the news. Yes, I can. You want to hear me predict tomorrow's news, and I don't care what date it is, I can predict the news. Here's what's going to happen tomorrow. There's going to be a war. Somebody's going to kill somebody. There's going to be a robbery somewhere. The stock market's going to do one of three things. It's going to go up, down, and go sideways. Hey, I predicted the news. Now, if you go back 100 years and find an old newspaper, that's 1920s, and read it. You know what? You got to read that there's a war. You got to read that somebody killed somebody. You got to read that there was a bank heist or whatever. You got to read that the stock market went up, down, or went sideways. The news is basically the same thing. I mean, the people change. The people who lived in the 1920s compared to the people who live in the 2020s. The one thing different about us is, well, those people are dead. That's primary difference. But we're doing the same things. We're cut out of the same cloth, you know? We're just like them. So you want to know what the news is? The news is what it was yesterday, what it was 100 years ago. Yeah, I love to read the news. I'm really into current events. I'm into those things. We don't talk about it on this channel because I would offend half the people who read or who watch my videos, so I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I'm okay with being into current events, knowing what's going on. In fact, I feel it's kind of responsible for us as citizens of our country to know what's going on. But what the narcissist wants us to do is to listen to the news and come to his conclusion about his or her agenda. At least that was my experience with this one guy. Okay, number 14 is the pressure to meticulously overplan every aspect of your life. Why would a narcissist want us to do that? Again, it's just a way of being critical. When they say you need to be more meticulous in your planning, you need to be more careful because you're making mistakes. What they're doing is they are boasting about how meticulous they are in their planning. They're criticizing you falsely. So be careful when the pressure to be more careful in making your plans comes from somebody who obviously isn't careful in making plans. Now, I know there are narcissists out there who are really good at planning, but nearly all of the ones that I've known in my years not been that good. I mean, these are people who basically wouldn't keep a job because they didn't want to be under somebody else's leadership because they were better than they were. That, in my opinion, is not meticulous planning. Now, I know some people have difficulty keeping jobs. I know people who are autistic. They're really good workers, smart people, have good attitudes, know the business, but they don't. Their personalities don't mesh with other people, so it makes it difficult for them to hold a job. And that's perfectly understandable. I know where they're coming from. But that's not a narcissist. A narcissist doesn't keep a job because he didn't want to. He doesn't want the humility of having to work for a living for somebody else. And he's too lazy, most of them, to work for themselves. There are exceptions. I know that. You could probably think of some. But they want you to overplan every part of your life. It's just a way of controlling you. And by the way, yeah, you can overplan. Now, being autistic, I have this thing with spreadsheets. I plan my meals weeks in advance. I plan what restaurants I go to. I'm overly meticulous when it comes to those things. But the narcissist will still find fault with that because he has to be or she has to be better than everyone else all the time. Number 15 is the pressure to break free from feeling stuck in a rut or in a ditch. So the narcissist again wants you to feel like you need to be rescued. And he or she is the perfect person to rescue you. That's why they're so critical. I mean, you can't do it yourself. According to them, you're like a toddler. You need somebody to hold your hand and lift you up, carry you along, and they're just the person to do it. Only they don't do it. Now, if literally, physically, my car runs off the road and gets stuck in a ditch, I'd be very grateful if you'd come along and help me out. But that's not what the narcissist does. They want to imagine you're stuck in a rut somewhere, and they want to point that out to everyone else so everyone will know how flawed you are. And if you look at the narcissist, what rut are they stuck in? Well, they're stuck in the narcissist rut. All right, it's time to tie all these things together. 15 things, pressures that narcissists love to use to put pressure on us that often make us submit to their manipulation. And I've got to throw this in parenthetically because it's very important. These things are not unique to narcissists. I have to admit to myself that I've been guilty of doing some of these things myself. Maybe not intentionally, willfully trying to control people, but just because I'm not paying attention to my good manners. So yeah, but narcissists, these things just seem to be explosive in their behavior. And all 15 of these things may be good indicators, good signs that we're dealing with a person who either is a narcissist or has narcissistic traits. So that's how we tie all this together. The first most important thing to do is acknowledge, recognize that there is a problem. And these 15 things collectively create a problem, or individually they create problems, and we acknowledge that. It's kind of like having a disease. First thing you got to do to cure it is you got to acknowledge that it's there. And then you figure out, okay, how do I deal with this? And each 15 of these things, they have, it depends on the individual who's implementing the pressure and how we deal with it. But we, first of all, have to admit that, again, that we're being pressured, and then decide what is the best strategy to alleviate the pressure. Are we going to return pressure for pressure, tit for tat, as we talked about in another video, or are we going to let this one blow by because it's not that big of a deal? We got to decide. So tie all these things together by recognizing that they're there, acknowledging that they're there, and they're not going to go away ever. This is human behavior. So let's learn to live with it and acknowledge it. See y'all next time.